Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Contact. Target compound.
Combat, it's killing. That's what it is. And it's done in an environment that is often as difficult as you can possibly imagine. Extremes of climate. It's uncivilized. And women can't do it. The requirements for strength and endurance render them unable to do it. Doesn't work.
I knew the moment I stepped in over there at Bragg, I was like, we are being watched and something bigger is shaking out, I guarantee it.
You're looking at each other. Is she as tough as I am?
It was a bunch of female alphas.
You're doing this for every other woman that's going to come after you. Any argument that a man's going to have about why women shouldn't be allowed to be here, don't contribute one iota.
I thought, war? What are you doing here?
It was a man's club. Like, that is the lion's den that we just walked into.
For 8 years of a war, we didn't see the other half of a target book.
You bring a white man in a very intimidating US uniform. A lot of women will feel uncomfortable.
We're gonna go into that darkness and just be like, you need this done? Okay, let's go.
This is not what I was expecting at all.
Nobody cares if you're a man or a woman. You are defined by your actions purely.
Having this one woman on target freed up probably 4 guys.
I would have liked to have seen that play out a little bit.
I start to wonder if you're there too long, if whatever gains you made start to erode themselves, and soon you leave in the same place you started. What does winning look like?
War's not stopping. How long has America been around? How many wars we been in? Conflicts? Only thing changed is the date.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation Show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience need to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
that time of night again. It's Tuesday. The boys are here. They're ready to rock. And I have one question for you. Do you want to share the story of a loved one who was lost in combat or after service? Reach out to any one of us. We are booking for Memorial Week shows now. We have 4 days left, and we will love to have your story broadcasted. So now I tell you this. Another week is down. Another birthday is upon us. As the Crue celebrates Jake, they celebrate Lacey, and all that is Hurt Locker. Everyone wish him a happy birthday in the chat or on his phone. Let him feel that love. Now it's time. Everyone get your underwear on. Pull on your favorite headgear. Reach up and pull down those shoulder straps and get ready for an epic ride with Cagney, with Lacey, and the ToosDay crew.
Jake, another year older.
Another year
How
older.
are you, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing, Steven?
I'm good, man. It's another beautiful Tuesday.
Well, yeah, you had the day off.
Of course I did. you don't really work, so you probably had the day off too. So
actually, I cut grass from 7 till 5.
Okay, so you had the day off.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Oh, how's things over there on the East Coast?
Dry and quiet. Actually, not dry. It is dry. We have forest fires burning down South Jersey, but that's what happens when there's no rain and very windy.
Yes,
windy for the last few days.
Yeah, we
up here it's nice and calm right now. So
we had a little bit of rain the other night. It was a pretty bad little storm that come through here. I was told that I slept right through it, so
it couldn't have been that bad. You're just not used to it.
I guess I'm just that used to it. Mickey said it was shaking the house. The thunder and lightning was. So I don't know. I'll have to watch the video.
I got it on the Ring doorbell.
Yeah, I see our producers out there talking smack to me again. So
well, hey, that's why maybe you were wide awake and you just don't remember the storm. That's what he's getting at. Because,
Hey, my CRS could have been acting up. Yeah. Hey, we've got an awesome guest tonight, Stephen. I'm gonna tell everybody about her. Her name is Tina Erwin. She is a Navy veteran. Got out of the Navy, retired out of the Navy at the commander level, and she's an author of 9 books, and she is a ghost helper. And after reading her bio, I'm just going to say that I would consider her an expert on metaphysics. She's written 9 books about it, and let's get her in here and get her to talking about it.
Welcome, Tina.
Welcome, Tina.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. Glad to have you. I didn't cover your bio very much. I gave the 2-cent version of it. So if you want to, just start from wherever you want to start to how we got to where we are today.
All righty. Well, I'm pretty ancient. I joined the Navy in 1972 to find a husband. It was the Vietnam era, and it didn't align with my thinking, and I wanted adventure, and I didn't want to have to spend the rest of my life fighting for equal pay. They had to pay you the same, and if you worked really hard, you got the same pay, and you might as well enjoy what you did and be around really cool guys.
Yes.
And so I did join the Navy. I met my husband in 1973, and 52 years later, we are still together.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Both of us work for the Submarine Force. I worked for them for 20 years. He worked for them for 24 years. And it's, when you look up Patriot, you see submariners. And I'm obviously very prejudiced because I'm married to one, and my brother-in-law is a submariner. You know how that goes. But when you deliberately submerge your ship, you have to feel the ship. You have to know your crew. You have to know that the equipment feels right. It sounds right. You have to use senses that are not definable. And they love to tell stories. When I was on patrol, blah, 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 I had a feeling something bad was going to happen. And I did this and I did that. And when we collided with that Russian submarine, it's like, I could feel it coming and there's nothing I could do to stop it. So the more I began to listen to these men, these are engineers. These are about as right brain guys as you are ever going to meet. They trusted their gut instinct. Some of them saved hundreds of lives because they took an action that was utterly illogical, but this voice told them they needed to do something. So after studying that and having a little ability myself, I realized that everyone has psychic ability. And whether you're seeing a ghost or you're having a feeling or you sense something, none of it really matters as long as you follow up on it and you listen. And that's true for anyone who's in law enforcement, in any branch of the service. And I felt like this was mental popcorn because the more I studied it, the more fascinating it got. And it's not about whether you are religious or you're not religious. It's more about a deep and personal connection to the divine that's virtually not definable. Everyone has a private way that it works for them. So after watching so many of these really amazing guys do an astounding job, I mean, a submariner did his job if he never fired a weapon in anger, because their job is deterrence. And these were some exceptionally fine men. And I had a wonderful career. I was a terrorist expert. I designed equipment that protected submarines from terrorist attack. And I worked on submarine protection, tender protection, and submarine bases.
Okay.
And what I learned, and I worked with SEAL Team 6, we did runs on bases and runs on submarines. I could see what all the vulnerabilities are. And you had to build layers of protection on your target. Well, if you're dealing with psychic ability or you think there's something around you that you can't see, you have to increase your own personal layers of protection. And if you think you're dealing with a ghost, you need to be able to take positive, I hate the word affirmative action, but you have to take positive, definite action to be able to make yourself to keep yourself in a safe place. And sometimes to protect those around you. And so I just started studying life and death, what happens after death. And I couldn't figure out why nobody knows how to cross over a ghost. All these people are talking to the dead, but they're not helping them. Mm-hmm. And my 6-year-old niece died in 2003. She sat on the sofa and said, "Mommy, I feel hot," and she died. Yeah. Well, she left her body and she was standing next to her sister, and my other niece could feel this dead child's arm around her. And so it became quite a journey along the way. Sure. And I know that because I'm one of those odd people who does remote viewing. So when she died, I found her, tried to get her to go back in her body, and then I had to cross her over, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Mm-hmm. It was very difficult. But people live and they die. You don't always live 100 years. So that is just a little bit about what I do.
All right. Well, that sounds exciting. I mean, I don't
scary all at the same time.
Yeah.
It makes me like this looking around right now.
Well, just so you know, like if I go into a house and I feel something put its arm around me, I'm out.
And I don't blame you. Absolutely.
You know, I ain't hanging around. Somebody else can have the house.
Well, there was a very interesting case in Colorado of a couple, and you're supposed to disclose things, but neither real estate agent told this couple that a serial murderer murdered all of his victims in their living room. And they put a carpet down and never mentioned that all these dead people were still in the house. And this couple thought they were going to lose their mind. It was so haunted.
Wow.
So
yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I was with my wife. We were driving And I know a house next town over that had a fire, and a mother and a daughter died on the second floor. And they redid the house and they put the house up for sale. And I'm like, did they actually tell the buyers that a mother and daughter died on that second floor? You know, and how, I don't know if I'd be able to live there knowing that. You know,
it's a law, and it's a real estate law in many in South Carolina. You have to disclose if your house is haunted, because South Carolina, everything's haunted.
Right.
I used to live there, and my house was haunted, and my entire neighborhood was haunted. I thought we'd go mad. The haunting just nearly drove us crazy, and so I set about trying to figure out, what do you do with a ghost? You know, we're two lieutenants with children and careers, and I'm a naval officer, for God's sake. You don't talk about ghosts. Like, that's just not something you do. So now what? It took me a lot of years to figure out how to do it. But once I did, then I can teach anybody to do it. You don't have to be psychic. You don't have to believe it, but it works. Then one of the things that happens with post-traumatic stress disorder, especially if you are overseas, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. My youngest son did 2 tours in Afghanistan with the Air Force. Is if you have a number of people who are with you in a squad or platoon and you're the only survivor, a lot of times the other men or women are still with you. And you can't tell whether you're grieving them or you're feeling their grief at their own death, because no one considers that the dead grieve their dying. They grieve that they're not going to see their wife and children or their parents or their friends again, that they could have, should have done something different. Mm-hmm. The dead grieve terribly. And if you're the person, the living person who survived that, you can feel it. And if you try to explain it to somebody, obviously you're labeled as crazy. What if you're not crazy? What if it's real?
Now,
I'm not
how
questioning it.
How do you condition yourself to listen for that? That's what my question is.
I think sometimes when you have a ghost, you don't really have a choice. You're not conditioning yourself. Okay. It's just happening to you. And I mean, I've had so many people come and say, please help me. Everybody's going to think I'm crazy. I can't go in this room, or I feel like someone's watching me, or I see someone out of the corner of my eye. Okay, well, you're not crazy. If you're in a house and you bought the house and no one told you, or maybe the previous owners weren't affected, but now you are, you could have something called predecessor energy. And that's certainly true for South Carolina, because you have people there who have been there since the 1600s. Mm-hmm. There's an earthquake fault, which will be a very attractive energy to a ghost. So you have the Civil War and the War of 1812, and you have all the skirmishes and the slave trade, and so many things happened that, yeah, most of South Carolina is haunted. But can you do something about it? Yes, you absolutely can. And that's what I would like to share with people who have family members who have post-traumatic stress disorder from a war situation, or maybe they're in law enforcement and a ghost stuck with them that they didn't even realize was there. There's some very simple things you can do.
Okay, well, let's dive right. They did not tell me the farmer's uncle was buried under the tree in my yard. That's from our producer. And yeah, he's got that situation. I had, well, here in this house that I'm living in, guy shot himself in the living room. And then way back, there was a young girl who died here in the house, and we didn't find that out until we were doing some work around the house and dug up her headstone.
Oh my gosh.
And then supposedly her boyfriend, and this was like in the 20s, mm-hmm. Her boyfriend had got her in trouble, and she lived here alone with her father, and the boyfriend is buried on this property somewhere. So
Okay, so that's a really great example. So I'm so glad you shared that. So you have 3 situations of death, which puts that property in resonance with death, maybe violent death.
Mm-hmm.
And so it continues to happen. And you know this is true because you'll see a place where there's one accident after the other at the same intersection because the energy of the accident continues to linger. And then you have one after the other. Or you'll see a place that burns down and it burns. There's a place in Virginia Beach that had one fire after the other in the same building. The resonance of fire continues to exist there until you do whatever you can do to clear it.
Okay. Wonder if that's how come so many cars burn up between here and the next exit down.
Well, could be. But there are, when I've been across the country, I don't know how many times, and you have all these little crosses on the side of the road, and I spend the whole trip clearing those crosses so that there are no more accidents there as a public service. No one's ever going to know that I did that. But if there aren't any more accidents there, oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yes. Yes, it is.
All right, we have a question for you. Ed Bob 30 wants to know, what was the turning point that led you from a Navy career into the world of ghosts and metaphysics? Thank you, Bob 30, for that.
I retired from the Navy in '92, and I started a computer company, and I designed software. And Apple Computer was very interested, and I don't think that's what I was supposed to do because it didn't turn out very well. And so I closed my company and I was casting about. And since I seem to have a lot of knowledge about metaphysics, people started to ask me questions. And then I ended up with clients who had weird spiritual problems. And I got more and more questions. And I realized that I'm not supposed to go into industry. I'm not supposed to work in industry or play those politics anymore. I have another job. And it's not that it pays that well because, a lot of, by the time people reach me, some of them are penniless. They have no idea what's causing a lot of the problems they're having. And a lot of it is very spiritual. So I'm alluding to that. But I love the Navy, and I took all the lessons from the Navy, all the amazing men and women, mostly men. Not a lot of women worked for the Submarine Force in the 70s and 80s. I just took all that and applied it on a more global scale and looked at why were some ships unlucky? Why did some ships have this amazing track record? What about personalities? How does all of this fit together? And then I just kept getting phone call after phone call. I didn't ever advertise. And the next thing I know, people are saying, can you explain this? So I started writing books. And so now I'm up to the 9th one, which is Psychic Children, Psychic People. So if you have any psychic ability yourself, it's really interesting to see what you can do with it and how these things work. Okay. So I made the transition, and I love the Navy, and I can be exceptionally right-brained. But to do what I do, you have to be pretty left-brained as well, meaning you have to learn to believe what you see and feel and hear, and then look for corroboration when people say, I can't believe how much better I feel. Oh my gosh, the house is cleared, or it's not satanic anymore, or oh, this makes a huge difference, or, I slept last night, there's no more ghost here. And that tells you that what you're doing is making a difference. And isn't that why all of us joined the military in the first place, other than to find a husband, was to make a difference and to make the world a better place?
Yes.
50-something years, that was a good find.
Got another question for you.
Okay.
This is from Alec Not Blanks. Can you explain how the crossing over prayer works and why it is so important? Thank you, Alec Not Blanks.
The crossing over prayer was written because I broke my cell phone and I ended up in an expensive handbag shop at a shopping center in San Diego. And I had just written my first ghost story book, and I was talking to the manager about it. She said, this high-end store is super haunted. I said, okay. She said, "Can you clear it?" And I said, "Sure." And, let me know if you have any other problems. And she called me the next day. She said, "We have more ghosts. I can feel them. They're moving the racks, and I can feel eyes watching me." And I thought, if I were abducted by aliens tomorrow, I can't be the only one that knows how to do this. This has to be shared. So I sat down and wrote the crossing over prayer. And it's been tested all over the world. I mean, I don't know, something like 72 countries, people have used this prayer. And the reason it works is because it's extremely specific. It makes a request of God. It defines what the request is. It asks that angels assist that soul without judgment, without prejudice. And you also tell the powers that be that you want this done right now, because in the fourth dimension, there is no time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just this diaphanous eternity. But you want this ghost to be removed and crossed over right now. And you ask that compassion embrace this person, and then you extend gratitude to the angels and to God for helping you. It's a very simple prayer, but it's very effective. I had a guy in Belgium who was walking the cemeteries of World War II saying the prayer, and he kept hearing, he thought one time was odd, but when he heard it 100 times, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," he walked the battlefields as well as the cemeteries. And he said it really changed him. So that's why it works. It's specific.
Okay.
Now I have a question. Like I had a cousin back when I was younger playing with his father's gun, killed himself. Now, it wasn't at the house I lived in. It was across town. But yet, it was either that Christmas or the next Christmas, we had taken a picture, and who's standing in the background by the curtains but my cousin in the picture. His image was in the picture.
Happens all the time.
It because of comfortable residence, or because it didn't happen, like I said, it happened across town, and
it doesn't matter. When you're dead, you travel with the speed of thought because you're not encumbered by the physicality of a mortal frame. Right. It's a law of physics. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. So that which animates you, the energy that defines you, your personality, never dies. You are the same in life as you are in death. If you die in such a tragic way, you're so sorry. You just can't believe you did that. Some people don't know they're dead. So you have the people who feel so bad that they did this stupid thing. The gun went off and they killed themselves. This sad, tragic thing. Then you have the people who are hit by a car and they have no idea that they're dead. And I had to, my brother called me and he worked in Hollywood and he said, "Oh, there's a producer who was hit by a car and you have to help her. I just know she doesn't realize she's dead." Sure as a devil, she's trying to talk to the officer on the scene, and she's getting madder and madder and madder. And again, it's a remote viewing thing. And I explained that, you didn't make it. The officer can't hear you. You're dead. And her immediate reaction was, "Oh, I can't be dead. I have a meeting with Paramount next week and I'm getting my nails done. I have a birthday party for my daughter. You don't understand. I can't be dead." But as soon as they see the angels of transition that I request to come in, everything changes. All of a sudden, they're not cold, and the reality strikes them, and then they start to grieve. Each person's death is as unique as the person is themselves. If I hear one more psychic say, "Oh, well, they have unfinished business," it's irrelevant. Yeah. Business day is over.
Now,
that was a good question.
I have a question. Now, we had a gentleman on a few weeks ago. He was in Vietnam and he had died, and he said he was dead for, say, 3 minutes. And his exact words were, "There was no bright light. There was no this. It was just calmness." How do you see how it happens? I've watched the TV shows where people do what you were doing, and this was a TV show saying, go to the light and, cross over. He's telling me he was dead for 3 minutes and he never saw a light. He felt very calm. There was no hands reaching out to him. There was nobody at a gate. There was no light. It was just calmness.
And it can be that way.
Okay.
Like I say, everyone's death is unique. Some people, the light is right there and they just move right into it. Some people, all they see is blackness. Some people, it's just a grayness. Some people are totally confused. Children, babies, whether it's a miscarriage or it's an aborted baby or stillbirth, they have no idea what to do. You don't want a ghost hunter hunting them down. You just want to open the heart of compassion, if that were your child, and help them. So when you look at the uniqueness of methods of death, what happens in those moments after death? Some people hear a voice talking to them. I had a client who didn't realize her dentist was going to give her nitrous oxide, and she died in the dental chair. And the next thing she knew, she was out on Virginia Beach Boulevard. She was so terrified and horrified. She didn't see a bright light. She didn't see gates or anything. All she saw was oncoming traffic. And then she felt waves of grief at leaving her family. And then she heard a voice say, oh, I guess she's not ready. She had a near-death experience. The person you're talking about also had a near-death experience. They are not all the same.
Okay, that's okay. Like I said, when you watch it on TV and all these shows, it's, oh, you see the light, go to the light, getting people to cross over. And he's like, there was no light. He's like, it was dark and it was calm. And that's all it was, And that's why I had asked, because
I think it's an
what you see and what's reality is two different things. That's why I asked.
It can be all of the above.
Got another question. I'm going to pop it in here. This is from Pennies for Nickels. You said something about clearing crosses on the road. What does that mean, and how do you do it?
If you're driving Interstate 40 or you get off and you're in a town and you see these little crosses, I don't need the crossing over prayer. I have the ability to simply cross them over really quickly. But if you saw them, I actually have on my website, ghosthelpers.com, people can order. These are crossing over prayer cards. I keep them. I have them in my car, in my purse, in my luggage, everywhere I go. So literally they act like a beacon and cross over anyone coming at you. Or, if you saw one and you knew, some teenagers died there was a terrible accident, whatever, say the prayer. I also wrote a book called The Crossing Over Prayer Book. And that's 88 prayers to help the living and the dead. So let's say someone took their own life. That is, violence against oneself is the lowest frequency of all. And there is the compassion prayer for suicide. And let me point out how absolutely critically important it is to cross over someone who took their own life. A lot of organizations say that if you take your own life, God's going to punish you. But I would offer a different view. It isn't that God's punishing you. God understands that your pain was so great. You sought relief, but there is no relief in death when you take your own life. And when you use the compassion prayer for suicide or the crossing over prayer, and you help that soul to find the light, there is no one sitting there with a hammer and judgment. There are people who help that soul to heal on a deep emotional level. Sometimes they have physical pain that was so unbearable. They couldn't take it another day. It's not up to any of us to judge that. That's what I love about my job. It's not up to me to judge. There is no prejudice. I had a mom in North Dakota, a 17-year-old son took his own life, and she wrote to me. And she used the compassion prayer for suicide. And she wanted me to cross him over. And I said, I think you should do this. This is your last act as his mother. And I believe you can do this. And it's going to, if I do it and say, oh, I did it, it's going to mean, okay, but if you do it and you feel it, it's going to change everything for you. And she did. And it completely changed her path of grieving. It was actually quite remarkable.
Okay. All right. Got another question. They're rolling in tonight. How do you handle, this is from AO13. How do you handle skeptics who don't believe in ghosts or energy work? Thank you for that question, AO13.
It's a very good question. And I would go back to physics. That's why I explained the physics of metaphysics. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. That is a physics law. You can't even the Navy can't define energy. So if energy is neither created nor destroyed, what happens to the animation at death? Where does that go? And there was a Russian scientist by the name of Karillian. He created something called Karillian photography, and they have photographed people at the moment of death, and you can see this white film leave. And there was I think a couple years ago, a photograph this person was taking of an accident scene with a motorcyclist, and you saw the motorcycle, this white form of a human body, shoot through the air. People have experienced ghosts as long as there is written record. You can't tell me that every single person on earth is crazy. I think that's the other part. I mean, we just celebrated Easter. So the resurrection, there is no death. You lose the mortal frame, and the energy that is you continues. It's the most compassionate thing you could possibly think about, no matter what your faith is or isn't. That is a really important concept. We live forever.
Yeah, but there's probably going to be religions out there that brand you a heretic for this.
Oh, well, of course they are.
Okay. I was just, I had to throw that out there.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Can't quite imagine what I've been through with this.
Oh, I could imagine.
And when you look at the science of it, here, I'll give you an example, because the skeptic question is so important, because not a single person can prove that love exists. You can try to define it. You can write movies and pictures and songs, but hold it in your hand. You can't do it.
Yeah.
I had a client in upstate New York, and her father was a convicted and executed murderer. And he decided to haunt his daughter and his 4-year-old granddaughter. And he haunted her by telling her all day long to kill her daughter, his granddaughter. And she contacted me and said, can you cross him over? And again, I said, as a crossing over prayer for murderers, cross him over. She said, but it'll be better if you do it. And I said, no, I want you to do this. Say this prayer 3 times with the love for the light in your heart. Yes, you're sending him into the light, but he takes the karma of his actions with him. Should he be punished for the horrible things he did? That's not your job or my job. Karma, believe me, will take care of that on ways you can't imagine. After she did the prayer, she felt this subtle shift. Again, can't quite put your finger on it. And her 4-year-old says, oh, mommy, the bad man is gone now. Her daughter could hear what he was saying. So she had instant validation that he had been there as a ghost, and now he was gone.
Okay. All right.
So that is true, that small children and like animals can feel and sense the spirits.
Exactly.
Now, what if you get that one that's like, I don't want to go?
Well, they do exist. And in some of the last book I just wrote, you bring in something called the spiritual police, and you direct these angels to escort this difficult soul into the heaven world right now. I mean, I'm a naval officer, so I have some authority in my voice, but for God's sake, put some authority behind your words. This person is creating karma for themselves, and they're interfering with the free will of the living. I had a ghost jump in my car. This was in San Diego years ago, and completely removed the brakes from my car. So I bumped. I was at a stoplight, and I rolled into the guy ahead of me. Well, she earned karma for that. And I could see her, but I was horrified that I had hit somebody. Nobody was injured, but I was so furious at her. I had to cross her over, but she was a 1960s ghost. She had on a little Jackie Kennedy suit and everything. It's crazy. So these things happen. People are not crazy. Abraham Lincoln had a lot of, I think Lincoln saw the ghosts of the soldiers who had died, and he had a premonition of his own death. And I think that there's so much we don't fully understand. But when you embrace quantum entanglement and string theory, you look at the concept that we are all connected to each other in all of these magical synchronistic ways. Even when we die, someone will know someone. And what do? We trace our ancestry on these charts on the wall, so we can see our connections to all of these other people. And when you talk about energy work, what is prayer? You see a lot of people who go to church, 4 days a week and twice on Sunday, don't believe in ghosts, but they believe in prayer. They are both forms of energy. You can't deny one form, but believe in another. They are both energy.
Okay. Now, Henry Datu. Jake, big ups for a new year. I am thinking of joining the Army. Should I go into your field? Well, Henry, I tell you what, to me, it was the best job in the Army. You email me at jake@themisfitnation.com, and I'll write you an email back, and we can probably get on a phone call and we'll talk about it. I can let you know about the career field. I thought it was awesome, and you will never change my mind on that. They let me play with explosives and paid me to do it. So, so now we've talked about somebody that's already died, and you're transitioning their ghost. Now, what can we do with the living who say they're either on their deathbed or know that they're going to die? What can we do with them to where maybe we don't have to cross them over once they die?
That's a great question. And the answer is, and I've done this for people, when you are working with a person who is in hospice or in their final stages, ask that angels surround them and that angels escort them into the light of the heaven world immediately upon death. It's a very simple request. And then explain your gratitude. Always, always show gratitude to these divine beings for the assistance, because they earn karma by helping the living.
Okay.
As well as the dead. So it's a simple request. When my brother was dying and he was flatlining, I had angels surrounding him, and I had them escort him personally into the light. And it was glorious. It was a really moving moment.
Okay. All right.
Anyone can do this. You do not, I guess my point is, you don't need a psychic for this. Anyone can do this. You don't even need the crossing over prayer. If you want you want to help someone who has died, you can ask an angel to come in your own free will and escort that person to the light of the divine. Right now.
And it goes the same for like a prayer for healing or anything like that. You got to demand that sickness leave somebody's body, and
if
have the faith that it
wants to be healed.
Yeah. Yes.
That's it's part of spiritual law.
Yes. They have to want to be healed and have
to heal them.
and have the faith that it's going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah. That plays a big part in that. Got another question here. Millicent Slam 3. Do you ever get to work with other paranormal professionals like Jason Hawes?
No, I'm so busy with the work that I do between podcasts and clients and writing that I don't.
That was simple enough.
Sorry, I don't.
Well, I get it. That's what I'm saying. That was simple enough. Yeah.
I help other psychics. I do a lot of podcasts and people ask a lot of questions, and some people have their own spiritual coaching practices. And so sometimes I consult, but I don't work with anyone famous that I don't. Just podcasters who are, to me, pretty cool.
Got another great question just popped in here from Liz Makes Cookies. Why do some spirits not cross over, and how can regular people help them?
A lot of times, if you died a violent death, this is an excellent question because there's so many reasons. There's not just one. If you died a violent death, I cleared a property in North Carolina several years ago, and nothing would grow, and they couldn't sleep at night, and they were fighting all the time, and there was no money, and there was so much rage going on in the house, and somebody sent this couple to me. And so I remote viewed the property, and the first thing I found were this unmarked grave on a corner of the property where there were 3 or 4 black men and women who had been murdered right after the Civil War. A lot of times, there was a lot of rage was taken out on the black community after the Civil War ended. And they were murdered and they were put in a shallow grave. No one knew they were there, but they were all just standing there. So they told me their story. They couldn't see the current owners of the house. They couldn't see the trees that were nearby. All they could see was their current reality in 1865. That was all there was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were murdered and they didn't know what to do next. So I brought in angels and crossed them over. And then another couple had lived in the house in the 1920s. They had built a house on that property and nothing grew. And they didn't sleep at night. And the husband murdered the wife, and then the husband shot himself. So now we've got 6 deaths on this property that no one knew about. It's not reported in any of the real estate records. We have this overlay of predecessor energy. Because all of those deaths were violent deaths, it was a very low frequency property. So the last ghost was modern, was the grandfather of one of the grandfathers, the couple was so terrified for the family because he could see the ghost, but no one could see him. That he was hanging around, and so they weren't getting anything done. And I mean, when you look at a place that's really badly haunted, nothing grows. I mean, nothing grows. So I cleared all those ghosts and the property, and all of a sudden they could sleep at night. The rooms weren't cold. Money started to come in as it normally would in the course of their business. So you can die a violent death and not know what to do next. You cannot know that you're dead. I helped a ghost in Virginia. A woman had a condo and she knew it was haunted, but she said it was a nice ghost. And the ghost's name was Helen Stanton. And she was a Civil War nurse, and she had 300 Civil War dead with her. She knew she was dead, but these guys had no idea they were dead. They're still fighting the war, ready to go back. They had no idea. So but she wouldn't leave until every one of those men was crossed over. She was kind of my hero. She was just such an amazing person. You have people who want to haunt the living. This woman's mother died, and she haunted her daughter for 10 years, day and night. This woman thought she was going to lose her mind. She could not escape her mother. She was controlling in life, and she was viciously controlling in death. and she did not want to go over. She didn't want to cross over. But as soon as I brought in an angel, instantly it softens people. It just, that light is so warm and so comforting, and they realize they've been cold for a long time and lonely, and they just are sad, and so they leave. So there are people who do cross over. There are also very, very religious people who were told that they were born in sin and died in sin. And when you find these people, these sweet grandmothers and, you know, beloved grandfathers, they say, well, I was born in sin, I died in sin, God can't love me. Well, you know, you ought to give it a shot, because the whole point of faith is love and forgiveness. That's the message. It's the compassion of all. It's the compassion of Christ. It's the compassion of God, period.
Yes.
So by crossing them over, it brought just so much peace. And they said, you really think it'll be okay? Sometimes it's really hard, because there are some wonderful people out there who can't even begin to see their own goodness. When you help them cross over, it's a really beautiful thing.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And that kind of plays across with this next question here from Lobar.
I think you answered this question already, but yeah.
Oh,
Lobar
yeah.
wants to know, what are some of the most profound or moving experience you've had while helping spirits cross? I believe you just answered that question without even answering.
I did. When I crossed my niece over, her grandfather was on bended knee. I don't get to see that very often, but I did get to see that. And he just scooped her up and embraced her, and that was really moving.
Okay, from the old gray smudge, I was stationed at Fort Riley, and many of the limestone buildings have stories. I was skeptical until I was walking to my quarters at night, and an old cavalry soldier walked by me in a field. Do you think they just stayed there because they knew the area or knew it was familiar?
The guy doesn't know he's dead. He has no idea he's dead. I cleared a house in Suffolk, Virginia, and I could see fields of Civil War encampments, Confederate encampments. But the mom, the person who asked me to do the clearing, said she had chronic migraines. I cleared all this land, and then I went through the house to clear all of the rooms in the house, and standing next to her bed, on her side of the bed, was a soldier with his rifle and the back of his head shot off. He's still standing there. He looks like he's asleep. And, you know, that might have had something to do with her migraines.
Could have been.
There's so many reasons. That poor guy was clueless.
Well, hey, we are getting close to time. We're going to start winding down here a little bit. I'm going to talk about you a little bit. And folks, the name is Tina Erwin. The website is ghosthelpers.com. And the specific book I'm going to mention here is the Crossing Over Prayer book. And it's got crossing over prayers in it for all different situations. That and her other 8 books you can find on Amazon, and you can get those. And I'm sure that if you have a problem, you can probably contact her through ghosthelpers.com, and she can guide you through what to do and how to handle that. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No.
Okay.
I would add one last thing, if you'd allow me to, and that is, when you cross over a ghost, it is the compassion you will want for yourself.
Okay. Now, I got a question to add. When you do that, does the word get out?
Sometimes it does. Not once you get in the habit of it. That's why you can print out the prayer and just keep it with you, and it basically intercepts them so that they don't bother you.
Okay. All right. Now, we have something that we ask of every guest. So don't think we're picking on you here, but we need to know 3 non-negotiables that Tina has to do every day to make her day complete.
I send 10 different types of healing to the world every day.
Okay.
And I tell my husband I love him. And I send gratitude for the life I'm living and the opportunity to be of service to others.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a good list of 3. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. Misfit Nation, thank you for being on here. And if you are on here tonight, if you or a friend of yours is feeling the darkness, get on that phone, dial 988, take option 1. Somebody there will talk to you. We want you here tomorrow. It's not your time. It is not your time. So we definitely want you here tomorrow. And
if you need to email us, we'll give you phone numbers and you can call us anytime.
Yeah, exactly. Email us.
We'll talk to you. We'll be there for you.
And after listening to me on here, you probably don't want to hear me talk, but I will sit there and listen. So definitely
you'll just bump her while they're talking, so that's good.
Well, Misfit Nation, that closes us down for another ToosDay Crue episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the amazing questions. Kept us hopping this evening. I really enjoy that. And
Tina, thank you for the great information that you gave us tonight.
Yes, Tina, thank you for that information. And hopefully you might get some hits on your website and folks be asking you some questions.
Well, you never know.
And please express our thanks to your husband for his service as well.
I will do that.
I have been on a couple museum submarines, and no. That was not going to happen. Not in a million years. Well, hey, Misfit Nation, we will see you next Tuesday. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends about us, and we'll see you on Thursday. And
thank you, Tina.
And Rich will be back on. You have a good evening, Tina.
Thank you.
Misfit
Nation, we love you.
Love you
Good
too.
night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.